Let's watch this video and then talk about it.
Have you noticed what happens when you stop reacting? When you quit explaining yourself? Something powerful shifts. People suddenly lose their control of you. Like it's almost immediate, and it's fascinating to watch. They don't actually need you to be silent, like they don't need your silence. What they need is your reaction, your defensiveness, your desperate attempts to be understood, your emotional outbursts. That's what they need. They feed on all of that energy. When you stop giving it to them, they have nothing to work with, nothing to manipulate, nothing to use against you. Some people unconsciously structure their entire relationships around provoking reactions from others. It gives them a sense of power, of importance. They need you upset to feel in control. The moment you stop playing that game, you take all of the power away. Not by fighting harder, but by not fighting at all. It's not about winning arguments. It's honestly about recognizing which ones aren't even worth having.
He says something so important, especially when being a scapegoat or just surviving a narcissistic family cult, and it's really the power in your silence. And this is something that took me so long to reach this point, and it's so hard. Like, it's so hard to stay silent when you have been wronged. It's so hard to not speak up for your needs and to just let them slam you and torment you and emotionally abuse you. Like, a part of you deep down knows this is not right, and your natural instinct is to fight back against it. So this is not a testament, or just, yes, in the video he talks about how their reaction is that they really want to provoke you, that they want a reaction out of you, but let's talk about how it is for us, how it is to actually implement this and how hard it is. Like, on one hand, they train you to be silent, right, by, guilt tripping you or just moving the goalposts, etc., etc. They want you to be silent about the abuse, but on the other hand, how can you reclaim that silence as your actual strength and superpower when they want you to react? He said that some people structure their whole relationships around being able to provoke you and to get a reaction out of you. And in my previous video, I talked about how they use that to regulate their own emotions through you, and they'll even instigate, problems so that they can let out whatever trash they want to let out on you. But it's just super interesting that narc family cults are just experts at this. They abuse you emotionally, they invalidate your emotions, and they just withhold apologies, they withhold compassion, they withhold everything. Which reminds me, I need to make a video about withholding, and how even when I told one of the narcs, you're withholding like compassion right now, they were just like, oh, I'm not withholding anything. Like, you are withholding that, and I called it out on them. But even then, it's like, should I have just stayed silent about that and moved in silence, knowing that that's what I truly deserve, and not telling them what I truly feel and think? It's like, we have to understand just how, on one hand, they are conditioning us to be silent, but on the other hand, how we can use that silence as our superpower. And like I was trying to reference before, is that it's going to be more hard on us to do that than it is to even worry about them, whatever they do in the situation, Like, we know how they move, we know what they want, but it's even harder when you've been trained as a young kid, as just in a family system, and you just, like, your silence is just not, like, they use the silence against you, They use it against you so that you feel like you're walking on eggshells or something's wrong with you for speaking up. And so it's super hard for us to do that, I feel like I'm not explaining this right. Hold on. When you are silent, you take away the power that they need. Basically, you are the fuel, You are the reason that they're even there. You're literally the fuel to the whole situation. Your presence, your energy, you being the scapegoat, they bounce off of you for everything. And so when you're silent, then it's like, oh, what do they do now? What to do now, And it's like, you just want to scream, you just want to crash out, you want to. I've done that before, and I've regretted it after, because I crashed out, and they just sat there laughing and then saying, oh, see, look, she's the crazy one. And so you just can't give them that power over you, even if your reaction is justified, even if you feel wronged and that you deserve justice, and that even if, which I've thought about, you are now growing into the best version of yourself, and you know that you deserve protection, so you decide to protect yourself. You decide to advocate for yourself, right? I was in that boat, or in that season of my life, where I was like, no matter how hard it is, I'm gonna still speak up, because I need to show myself and my body and my inner child and everything that I deserve to be spoken up for. That being silent is going against that, and it's showing myself that I'm just gonna accept abuse. And so there's just so many layers to this. But ultimately, I've reached the conclusion that silence is the true power. Even if it feels like you're sitting on it and you're allowing it to happen, and that you rightfully so deserve to crash out, or to, let them see all of the ways that they're messing with you. Ultimately, being silent towards them is the right move. And not to say that you're just silent forever. You have to let it out. You have to let it out, but not to them, in other healthy spaces, or with yourself, or or a journal app, or whatever, or going somewhere and screaming in the woods or something, like letting it out and not being silent, and being your true feeling, being your true self, and responding the way that you truly deserve, but not to them. And that's the hardest part, is in the moment when they trigger you, when they do all these things, when they emotionally abuse you and neglect you and invalidate you, and just dump all of their stuff on you. It's like, that's the hardest part, is in that moment. Aisha, by the way, and here we thrive beyond the abuse. We're done focusing on the narcs and their tactics, what they use, blah, 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 blah. We're experts. We know them like a book. They're textbook. They're literally textbook definition. We know them. Here we thrive beyond the abuse. We focus on ourselves and our healing and how we can heal. So let's heal together. And this is something that I am still trying to learn, is that my vulnerability is sacred. I just thought, oh, they did this to me, I'm gonna respond, like I'm gonna express to them how I'm gonna respond and react like in front of them, to them, so that they know this was not right. But the truth of the matter is that we just can't do that to them. And like I've said in previous videos, is that we don't owe clarity to chaos, right? We can't go to the people who hurt us for them to fix it, We can't go towards them to heal and do what we need, and to just have compassion towards us. We need to have that towards ourselves, which is a very sad reality. But ultimately, it's about discerning if they're even capable of holding your feelings and having a safe space for you. And even if they are hurt, like I feel like a lot of times we think like, oh, they abused us and we're the abused. But I think that in any kind of conflicts, multiple people are hurt. And maybe for them, like, so look at me having compassion for the narcissist, even though like most times, like, they're just, you didn't actually do anything wrong to them. You just express your needs. You just give them feedback on, this was not right and this hurt me, and but most of the times, like, they're hurt as well, and so it's like, even if they are, or you are, you have to learn that they're more focused on soothing themselves. So they're going to keep pushing you down to soothe themselves, instead of being that compassion and having that empathy and having healthy reconciliation, to where you can both feel better. Guys, stay safe out there. This is Aisha, and thanks for listening. Bye.